Okay, so
Wonderful. Thank you.
there we go. This meeting is just a little that voice, that voice. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much, Louise. It's such a privilege for me to be doing this. And when Louise says I've known her all of her Nutrimetics life, literally, like I remember when she first became a manager. I remember when she had Adam and Rick. So I go right back to the very early days. And so, as a 19-year-old coming into Nutrimetics, it was really my lucky day. Now, I've got to tell you, I have got 10 pages of notes here in size 20 font. So I will pop them in front of me here so I don't miss anything that I want to share with all of you. So as I mentioned, and as Louise mentioned, as a 19-year-old came into the business. I was actually doing a 2-year cadetship in retail when I joined Nutrimetics, and it was in the second year of that cadetship when I was living in a house with 4 girlfriends that I'd been to boarding school with, when a salesman who was selling saucepans came to our front door, and he wanted to demonstrate these saucepans. And we absolutely killed ourselves laughing through that whole presentation. And when he realized that we weren't interested in the Renaware saucepans, he then suggested that we might like to call his next door neighbor, who was in a skincare and cosmetic company called Constan, and would we like to have a free facial. So I rang her. Her name is Cheryl Finnegan, Cheryl Halliday today. And at the time, she was a young mum with a couple of little kids. And she was, to want to describe her in another way is normal. She was the woman next door, young mum next door. And the more that she demonstrated these products on the back of our hands, and the more that I got to smell these products, and the more she kept telling us about the trip to Hong Kong and Penang that she'd just been on, and the fact that she had driven her company car to our place that night, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, she looks happy. She looks like she's really excited. I love the smell of these things. Everything that she talked about was so exciting. And I literally asked her what I had to do what she was doing. That's exactly what I asked her. What do I have to do what you're doing? And she said to me then that all I needed to do was to buy this kit. Now, just to give you some context, in 1975, my weekly wage at working at Myer was $37.70, and the kit back then, which was full of these little bottles of Skin Clean, Skin Fresh, Nutrimoy, little jar of Nutrimoys. There were little lipstick samples that were this big, of all these colors in the little box. Those of you that are on here that can remember way back when, you will remember that little tray with all the colors of lipsticks. And so when I actually went on to Google today to see what $39.95 would be worth today, and it's about $1,500. So in relation to what it was worth then in comparison to now. So can you imagine saying to someone it's $1,500 to join Nutrimetics today? Anyway, so that's what happened. And it was really the products, the fragrance, because they were so fresh and they smelt so natural, and the fact that they weren't tested on animals. I mean, I must have been a cruelty-free human being way back then as well, because that really inspired me that the products weren't tested on animals. Even though when I started doing parties, it took half an hour to explain who we were. Like, we were this company, we were only 7 years old in Australia, we didn't test on animals, and, like explaining it all was, it took a while to explain what we were all about. So at the time that I joined Nutrimetics, I would have to say to you that I actually loved my job at Myer. I absolutely loved what I was learning. I loved going into this, into Myer. I loved cleaning my counters. I loved getting it ready. I loved doing the buying. I was actually a junior buyer for men's accessories, which was gloves, scarves, and handkerchiefs. And it was in the day when men wore silk handkerchiefs in the top pocket of their suits. They wore silk ties. They were hand-stitched hems on the silk handkerchiefs. And we bought all the beautiful handkerchiefs and umbrellas and what have you for the department. And I was a junior buyer, and it was before those of you in Melbourne, it was before the Lonsdale Street store was built and before we had the buying office. And I just absolutely loved it. But what I didn't love about the job is I didn't love, as a 19-year-old, the fact that I used to go in early to get my counter ready. So at 9 o'clock, we were ready to trade. Whereas the people that I worked with walked in just a minute or two before 9 o'clock. They got paid more money because they were male and because they were older. And because they were male, they got paid a lot more money. I couldn't take my holidays when I wanted to. I couldn't, there were so many limitations. Now, granted, it was 1975, right? So some things have changed, but you know what? Some things haven't changed, and women are still not earning what men are earning in that kind of job. So when I met Cheryl, for me, it was like, maybe this is the solution. Maybe I could be good at this. Maybe I could do something, well with my nutrimatics. So I started going to Cheryl's training. Now, at the time when I joined, I lived in Brunswick. She lived in Melton. Melton was like way, way, way out west back then. Now they called it a satellite city at the time. And not long after that, I moved to Noble Park, which was even further out. And I still used to go every week to Cheryl's training. I never missed a training. So I went to every training and I went to every event that they had. And look, those of you that live in far north Queensland and out back and out WA and in remote parts of Australia, you know that you'll do anything to get the training that you need, and you would go to great lengths to make sure that you did that. So I'm sure there are many of you that are on the call right now or listening to the replay that know exactly what I'm talking about. But the one thing that I learnt to do was to do everything I was told. And some of you at conference in Bali just recently, I think I said that a couple of times to a few people, was I just did what I was told. Like someone told me to book 3 parties a week. I booked 3 parties a week. Someone would tell me to, sponsor, but it was really funny. I couldn't get that sponsoring thing. I'll tell you about that a little bit later on. But the thing was that I pretty much did everything that Cheryl told me to do. And also, and remember, I'm 19. I don't have any real social skills. I didn't really know how to speak in public. I didn't know how to network. I really didn't know how to socialize much. So, coming into the business, for me, Cheryl was my everything. So I watched everything that she did. I started to dress like her. I started to copy her demos. I started to sound like her. It was just so funny. And then I started going to bigger meetings, which were like, say a regional meeting. And so I would go, I think, Louise, you might have changed your setting on the view. If you change it back to gallery setting, I think I think, is it Joanne Skipsey? Joanne, if you can change your thing there, it's changed the view. Hey, Joanne. Anyway, I'll keep going and you can sort that out, Louise. Okay. So that was, the thing was that I just really copied everything that Cheryl did. Once I started going to the larger meetings, I met her upline was Beryl. So I was copying Cheryl for a while. Then I'd copy Beryl because she did things a little differently. Then her upline was Sue Upton. And then I would copy things that she was doing because she was really sophisticated and very, very professional. So I wanted to be just like her. And then I met Naomi Alberts. And so I had all these people that were my uplines that I copied virtually what they did. So I copied the way that they did their demos, how they did their displays, and doing a display at a demo was really it was like doing the shop front windows at Myers, you literally had display cloths and stands and all sorts of things to put your display together for your parties, which we obviously don't do these days. So in hitting a little flat point. Now, one of the flat points that I hit early in my career was that I wasn't sponsoring. And I wasn't actually asking people. I had this thing that I was really young and who was going to listen to me and who was going to want to learn from me. When people were older, I just assumed that older people were smarter and knew how to do things better. And so I was very sponsoring wasn't something that I took to straight away. And I can remember my upline.
Just a sec, sweetheart. I need to mute everyone. And I'm not sure how to do that. Or maybe we can ask Lisa to mute or anyone else that's not muted, please. Girls and girls.
Just mute those participants.
What do I do?
Click on the bottom, it should say participants. And then if you're
got it.
I would click mute all.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. Mute. Yeah, mute all. Okay, I've done that.
Lucia, now you have to unmute. You muted yourself as well.
Oh, okay. Okay, so who was that?
That was Anya.
Okay. So that was Anya. And Lisa Bates, can I ask you to mute too, please, sweetheart? Lisa?
And that was my brother trying to ring me.
Okay, very good.
Okay, so are we all okay now?
Yeah, there's one girl I can't mute, but that's okay. So you just go ahead, Lucia.
Okay, no worries. Okay, so at that point, Roger Alberts actually said to me, now, Lucia, we've actually had, and I look, honestly, I must have been so, I mean, I still think I'm naive at sometimes, but back then, Roger Alberts said to me, Lucia, you've got a party on tonight. I know that there's going to be a girl there. She actually wants to join. And I said, well, who is that? And he said, look, you will find out who it is when you get there. Because I went to that party actually expecting to find somebody, I actually did sponsor that girl. That girl is actually still a consultant in my team, I might just tell you, after all these years. So how funny is that? That when I changed my mind about sponsoring, because someone had told me, you know, like how gullible was I and naive to think that someone had like as if, but I was looking for that person. So, you know, every time I spoke to someone, it was like, I wonder if it's her. I wonder if it's her. So I asked everybody, and I actually sponsored more than one person on that night. So it just goes to show that when you know, you are expecting something, you'll find that, you know, it actually does turn, what it really does turn up. Let me just make sure I haven't missed anything on that first page. Okay. So, okay. Another thing that I learned from Cheryl was to is that what's happened? No?
I can hear you now, Lucia.
Okay, you couldn't hear me before? Okay.
Just for a second, you faded.
Okay, no worries. So another thing that I learned from Cheryl was, and everyone repeated this all the time, was to fake it until you make it. So that was something that I did around sponsoring, around parties, around running events. That was something that I learned to do. And I also learned that that having goals was super important. My natural enthusiasm got me through the first few months, and with all the support that I had, I might tell you I was very suspicious of the support. I'd go to training, I'm thinking, no one's ever helped me do anything ever like this ever in my whole life. And, you know, at 19, 20 years of age, I was quite suspicious. People were so helpful and so generous and so thoughtful and so kind. And once I clicked in, well, that was normal in this environment, then, you know, I went on. And as I just mentioned, not having goals was one of the points where I hit a bottom in my excitement. And having a one-to-one with Roger, he realized that, well, what I was doing is I was earning really great money, but I wasn't keeping it. Like, I didn't have anything to show for it. And he recommended that I buy myself a house. So I'm 23 years of age and I bought myself my first house. And so you can imagine what year would that have been? So 1956 and 23. So what's that? 56 and 23 is 1979. And I'm going to buy a house, and the bank manager's going, you've got to be kidding me. So back then, you know, I had to go through so much rigmarole to get a loan. It was just unbelievably hard to do it. But I did it, and I bought my first house in Oakley. And then I knew that nobody, and I mean nobody, was going to pay my mortgage other than me. So I made a pact from that point on that my personal sales from Nutrimetics had to pay all of my outgoing costs. So I had to earn enough money from the parties that I did to pay for my mortgage, for my insurance, for my petrol, any car service, you know, everything. That money had to come from so I made sure that I got bookings from every booking that I got. Like, it was like I was not leaving my parties unless I got a couple of bookings to make sure that I would replace the bookings that I had. Now, the year after I joined Nutrimetics, something just I'll skip back to is that I gave up my full-time job at Myers. They wouldn't let me have my time off to go on my first international trip to Singapore. And that was the turning point where I decided, okay, that's it. I'm out of here. And you can just imagine back then the comments that I got about my real job, and you're crazy, and what are you doing that for? And so, you know, that's what happened there. So I realized that something that was taught to me at the time was that I had more control of my life than I thought that I had. So the more that I created goals, the more that I focused on the goals, the more that I believed in what I was doing, the more that I put passion into what I was doing, and the more that I took the right actions, the more I would achieve in this business. Now, life wasn't all rosy all the time, because there were decisions that I made. And I might just say something else that I realized, that every decision I made created my destiny. So some of my decisions were fantastic decisions, and there were other decisions that I made in my life that were not so fantastic, and I got to live through those. But with the having more control than I thought, the things that I did, you know, because I was told to do these things, was to make my prospect list, to have a lead generating list, to have my facial list, to color code my diary. So I color coded my diary, and how this went, the diary always was color coded with blue for personal. So the blue things went into the diary first. So going to church, if that's the thing for you, home, family, if you're part of any community group, like all of those things, family time, all of the family personal things go into blue in my diary. These days I'm a Rotarian, so my Rotary activities go in there as well. So all the personal things go in first, and the work that I put in went into green. Now, the green squares in the diary are always for when I want to work. Now, my work is not 9 to 5, and it's not Monday to Friday. Joe and I put our diaries together, and it's like, okay, when are we working this week? So what have we got on? What are we doing? Where are we going? What are we going to see? Who are we catching up with? Like, that's all the blue time. And then the green time goes in to fill in the other places. The orange time is the training. So on a Tuesday night, tonight is in orange in my diary. So Tuesday nights for my team, our team, Global Traveller Girls, is on a Tuesday evening. Thursday nights, the first Thursday of the month, is Creating a Bright Future, which Louise and Adam have generously offered to all of us to participate in. And then the yellow in the diary is for the sponsoring appointments. So that's when I'm going either online or face-to-face to catch up with someone to present the opportunity to them. So that's a not negotiable. So these are the things that must go into the diary. And you know what, to this day, I work on that principle. Like, that's something that is permanently fixed in my mind that goes into the diary. The other thing that I did early in my career, I went to Toastmasters. So I learned, where I learned how to work a room and how to have eye contact in every corner of the room and how to bounce my voice off the back wall. So I learned all that stuff at Toastmasters. So for those of you that are ever in a training room with me, you know that I can project that voice. I learned to project it to the back wall, and I made sure that, when I'm in a room physically, now it's a little hard here on social media, on Zoom, but what I've learned to do is to look at the little green light, and behind the little green light is where all of you are. I do not look at you on the screen. So when I'm looking at you, I'm looking at your eyes when I'm speaking. And that's something that I learned from the very beginning as well, when social media, when Zoom started, way before COVID. Luckily for me, I had already started doing some trainings and meetings online. And so I had learned early in the piece that to make sure that I remembered that everyone was behind the green light. And that's where I speak into. The other thing that I did very early in my career, in fact, when I was 20, I just been filling new manager. Roger and Naomi, my uplines, and Sue and Bruce Upton were part of SWAP, and SWAP was Salesmen with a Purpose. And it was the very first networking groups that were around. And because I've worked from home all of my life, networking and getting out and not experiencing cabin fever as you can do when you're working from home behind a computer, it was important for me to have an outlet outside of Nutrimedics itself, to meet other people in other industries, to get a broader view of the industry and the broader view of business as well. So I was very, very glad that I did that. I got to meet people like Wayne Dyer and Bob Proctor and oh gosh, who else? Dennis Waitley and Jim Rowan and all of those men very early through going to conferences with SWAP, and also with Mr. Nobbs. Mr. Nobbs, who is the owner of Nutrimedics, was very much connected with Jim Rowan. Jim Rowan actually worked for Abundivida, which was part of Constan in the very, very beginning. So I went to conferences, went to seminars, and I love being in an environment where it was uplifting and positive, to be around other people that, had a growth mindset. Now, the other thing that I learned also very early in my life was to embrace change. And boy, have I had to embrace change in my career. I'll start off with technology to start off with, and that was the phone that we only had telephones, and they were only on a kitchen bench. There was my kitchen bench, there was a phone that sat on the kitchen bench. And then we, down the track, progressed to having wall phones. We had telegrams that would be delivered to the door. We had fax machines. We had VHSs. We had DVDs. The internet started in 1989, pretty much for me. And then email back in 1995, I think it was. I've lived through 4 recessions in Nutrimedics. I actually joined at the end of the 1975 recession. So, and how good was that I came into the business? I mean, I had no idea what was going on at 19 years of age. I had no idea that it was the end of a recession. But, in doing research, that that's what I found out, was that I actually have worked through that. There was also another recession that hit the economy back in 1982, 1983, another one in 1991, 1992, which happened to be the year that I became a presidential director. In 1983, when we had that recession, I became what's equivalent to a sales director right now. And then we're going through whatever it is that we're going through right now. The other thing that I've gone through is the ownership of the company, different ownership. So in the very beginning, as I mentioned, Mr. Nobbs owned Nutrimetics from, in the US, he started in 1958. He owned it through till 1991 when the Roach family, Bill and Imelda Roach, bought the company from him. So initially we had this man who talked about the white poison you Australians are embracing. I'm frightened for you. That's how he used to talk. That's he used to say to us, you're embracing the white salt, white sugar, white flour, white bread. They're not good for you, you know. And oh boy, was he so right in way back, you know, way back when. He also, you know, was a gentleman that we all thought that he was a bit of a hippie, a little bit like Mr. Clegg, Graham Clegg, our new owner. You know, he was really a wild boy for, you know, who he was. He was always pretty much, he lived like a hippie, but he dressed like a statesman. He really did. And he was just an incredible owner. When Bill and Imelda took over his business in 1991, they owned the world rights to Nutrimetics until 1997. And that's when they sold the business. Now, a little bit of a heartache for me, because I absolutely still love Bill and Imelda. Bill has passed away. Imelda always said, if it's up to me, if it's to be, it's up to me. She was and they both spoke about, you know, we didn't want to be the biggest, but we just wanted to be the best. And by wanting to be the best, we became the biggest. You know, in my time, Louise will remember, and those of you that are on the call that remember way back when the company did become the biggest skincare company in the country. And I think it was in the late 80s that happened, that the company was named #1 skincare company for a number of years. It was for a couple of years that the company had that, you know, had that status. Sara Lee Corporation bought the company from Bill and Imelda. Sad day for me. We've referred to them as the men in suits. Those of you who have got shares with Sara Lee, all, you know, bless you all. But it was just a funny time. It was a funny time, business-wise, company-wise. We went through a lot of changes. Lots of things happened, and some people moved on to other pastures, and there were some of us that stayed and are living to tell the story. Then from there, Tupperware Brands took the company over in 2005 until 2022, I think it was, when New Image, was it 22, Louise? 2022? I think it's 2 years in July, I think, isn't it, that they purchased the company, yeah?
It is 2 years in July, darling.
Yeah. So, you know, it was Bill's philosophy, or what I really loved about his philosophy, was wanting to be the best. And really and truly, the company have always, in my mind, always wanted the best for us, and have always communicated that. And the people in high places have always wanted that for us, whether it be with the product or whether it be with the opportunity. There was a time also when I think I'd been in the business around about maybe 6 or 7 years. I hit a flat point, and I remember going to look for a job. I had so many people telling me, look, why don't you get yourself a real job? So I actually did go. This has only happened like a couple of times in my whole 49 years, but I rang a company called Chandler and McLeod. And today I actually Googled them to see if they're still around, and they're still around. So Chandler and McLeod, and the woman was a lady by the name of Carleen Nankervis. I can still remember the conversation. And she's, the conversation went a little bit like this. Tell me, Lucia, about what you're currently doing. So I'm telling her about Nutrimedics and what I was doing. And then, well, describe like and so I'm going through the whole, and as I'm answering the questions, I'm reselling myself on my whole Nutrimedics business. And I realized that it wasn't Nutrimedics that was, challenged. It was me personally that was challenged. And I'm the one that needed to lift my game, not the company. It was really a turning point for me. And that was really the realization when I then had recreated goals, because I really didn't have any goals there. And look, I don't know about you, but any time that I go through periods where I don't have goals that I'm passionate about and focused on and committed to and take action on, and I've got a plan written down, like anytime I go through that period, I hit a flat spot. I operate under the radar and I'm drifting around like I'm working, I'm doing what's got to be done. Like I'm trying to justify. I don't know if anyone else can identify with that, but literally that's, I can see Julie Hargraves smiling. Julie, I can see you smiling there. Ring a bell. Anyway, there'll be some of you, that it'll ring true with. Another time that was challenging, without any exception, was when COVID hit in 2020. And look, there was the upsides and the downsides to, for me, for others, people around me, for family. But what it did do, it forced the hand of technology. So for people that were resisting, now I live right in the middle of the city, and when I moved to the city, people didn't come to my training like they used to. They didn't want to pay for the parking. They didn't know how to get around Docklands. And, people have got this thing, I hate driving in the city. So, that kind of did them into coming to my place for training. So attendance numbers were dropping and dropping and dropping. And so when COVID happened, I had, as I mentioned, I had already started training, doing some meetings and some training on Zoom, and so that's when we took up having weekly training with our consultants. We started a managers meeting every Monday morning, which we've continued on, by the way. So every Monday, our leaders and managers join in. All the managers do. Some of the leaders do. Join in at 9:30 on a Monday morning, where we create the week or create our training or whatever it is. And it's been really, there's been some times where we've needed each other, where it's been a bit tough. It's been a bit rough. It's been a bit, ho-hum. It's been a bit ordinary, particularly through that, because in Melbourne, for those of you that aren't aware, we were in lockdown for pretty much the whole year. It's not like a week or a month or 2 months. It was almost a whole year that we were in lockdown. So it was really very, very testing. And so that was really, now, as they say in every culture, the saying that when one door closes, another opens. In Italy, the Italians actually say when one door closes, two open. Some people say when one door closes, a window opens, there are different versions of that same saying. And so really, it really was incredible. And look what happened for the company. The company, started weekly meetings. They started these ESD and above meetings. They started running events online. We would get maybe, I don't know, 100, maybe 200 at different Christmas launches around all the capital cities. And we would think that that was fantastic. Now, I remember I think it was the first online Christmas launch that we had in total. When I looked at the YouTube views, it was something like 20,000 people had seen the actual recording of that launch. Like, imagine how many more people in remote areas that never, ever, ever got to a training. There are times when we're doing our weekly training on a Tuesday night, and we've got girls from Yeppoon, Tassie, Lakes Entrance, Echuca, Moama, sometimes Adelaide, sometimes Darwin, you know, that come in on that training, and it's fantastic. Like, it's just absolute. And now Greece. So it's so exciting to have some of the Greek girls joining in with us to be able to be on the Tuesday night training. So, which is happening as we go forward. So, you know, in those years going back, you know, we talked about what we did as doing party plan. You know, today you would probably call it social selling, right? It's identical. It's exactly the same thing. So what we did, and I've just made some notes and I'll just read this to you. So social selling provides women with opportunities for economic empowerment, you know, for skills development, for social connection and flexibility, contributing to our overall well-being and quality of life. Now, there wouldn't be one of us who built our businesses on party plan who wouldn't agree with that statement that I got from ChatGPT. Right. So, you know, like how is it that I'm excited about using ChatGPT? It's like I put all these things in there and go, okay, what would you say, ChatGPT, about, you know, party plan selling? So party plan offers several benefits to families, especially, listen to what ChatGPT said, especially during times of economic uncertainty and increasing expenses. So today, you know, what's relevant? What's relevant is that people have a bigger gap with their expenses to their income. Now, this may not be you. This may not be your personal experience, because you may be cashed up. You may be financially astute. You may be financially set up. You may be mortgages paid off. You may have investment properties. And there are many people who are in that position, and there are many people who are not. And so for the people who are not, that come into our circle, you know, for us to be mindful of that, we are more, you know, just as relevant today as we were back in 1975 when there was a recession, when in 1982, in 1991. So you'll find that gap, I mean, the media is doing a very good job of letting us know how bad things are for a lot of people out there. So if you're inclined to watch the news, it won't, you know, change anything for you. You probably feel very disempowered. I would suggest that by watching the news. But let's be realistic and go, okay, what we do is more important today for another very big reason. And in my mind, when I heard about the program that was reported on TV, I actually didn't see this program, but it was reported that 12-year-olds are going into department stores, retail stores, and are being sold and are purchasing. So, you know, responsibility lies with them and with the salespeople over the counter, who, in my mind, are being totally irresponsible, selling them skincare that is not required for their beautiful young skin, selling a 12-year-old anti-age products and, you know, high, strong, potent products on their skin, to me is irresponsible. What we do at our demonstrations, and whether you call them tweens and queens, or you call them mothers and daughters, or you call whatever it is, like, get creative, but know that we're needed out there right now. Because why are 12-year-olds going to a counter to buy these things? Because people would come to our demonstrations and they would come with their mums and they would learn about skin hygiene. They would learn about the structure of the skin. They would learn what it is to, you know, hydrate, make sure that you hydrate, make sure that you, and we would reinforce what their mums are trying to tell them. And, you know, goodness knows what does mum know, but the makeup lady, the skincare lady, she knows mum. So when mums book demonstrations, and they book today demonstrations, they know that we're going to reinforce what their mums are already telling them about junk food, about, you know, the amount of water that they drink, about squeezing pimples, about the sun and protecting their skin in the sun. you know, we're going to educate. So when we're educating people about products and they're trying our products, of course, and when they know, their mums know that we're going to follow up and service their daughters, they'll want us to be the person that is their skincare consultant. And I don't think there would be a person on here that would, you know, that would disagree with what I'm saying. So why are they going there? Because they don't get that information on YouTube. On YouTube, they can see the perfect skin and they can, you know, that's not, it's not doing the job. YouTube is not doing the job for teenagers around skincare. That is for sure. So I really encourage every single one of you that is able and capable and wanting to educate young people particularly. I mean, go back to the basics, and the company has relaunched and upgraded our basics range and rebranded it all to go, hey, this is, you know, this is what a teenager needs, you know, to look after their skin. You know, education around skincare and basic products, cleansing and toning and moisturizing the skin, sun protection for the skin. And so when we're educating people around those things, we'll have the mothers agreeing with us and supporting us and following us, you know, with what we do. So for those that are capable and willing and able and capable to get out and do demonstrations, you will earn the money because people are using something. These other companies do not exist because they're going broke. Like they're flourishing. Like they're actually, they're all paying rental space in their department stores. They've got massive rentals in the major cities. They've got massive overheads, and they've got staff that's on the counter. So they are making money. They are selling product, and they have great products. But to me, I personally feel that it's irresponsible to be selling high potent products to a 12-year-old. I don't know if I'm overstepping the mark there, Louise, but I just feel that it's, you know, being irresponsible. So I feel like I need to get out in front of as many people as possible to get that message across. You know, the industry, our business, what we do, we're able to work it around our families. For those that now are working from home, it is the perfect business to be running from home. You know, with your slippers on, Julie. I love it when the girls post up the photos of when they're, you know, working from home and they've got photos of their slippers and they've, you know, they're dressed from the waist up so that they can do their online stuff. I mean, how great is it that we can do that? And during COVID, didn't we all learn to dress from, you know, the waist up? Now, I'm a bit old school. I kind of did that for a month or two, but after a while I thought, no, I'm not going to let this thing beat me. I am still going to get dressed for work. So anyway, so the rewards that the company offer, the recognition that they offer, you know, to have a sense of fulfillment in what you do is very important. The flexibility, the financial benefits, I mean, to be able to be earning up to 45% on what you sell as a consultant is phenomenal. You know, those of you that step up to manager level, you know that you can be earning up to 52% on what you personally sell. So every time that you're selling over $4,000 a month and you're a manager, you know, manager that's meeting the minimum requirement, you're earning 52% on what you sell, which is absolutely fantastic. You know, when Lisa Hall spoke last month, and Lisa talked about, and not just Lisa, many of us, you know, do a demonstration, do an online workshop. I know even in our team the other day, Jacqueline, one of them did a demonstration, $1,600, and it was all done online. And so, you know, work out that if that person is a manager and she's earning 52%, she's earned $800 for the night. Yeah, like what great money is that? So being able to earn incredible money, but we earn income in our business in two ways. We earn it from what we personally sell, and it's when we also grow a group, grow a team, and also developing the success of that group and earning an income on that as well. So the other thing that I also wanted to mention around what the industry offers, and particularly in nutromedics, imagine going into a business and not paying anything to start it. Like, how good is it that with $0 a person can, I mean, what have they got to lose? Like, I can remember Eva Lenko, Eva, if you're listening to this or watching the replay, like she would, with her beautiful accent, she would say, you got nothing to lose. And so I mean, it's true. Like, what has a person got to learn? Like, give it a go for 6 months. Give it a go for 3 months. What have you got to learn? Give it everything you've got. Do it for 3 months. Do it for 6 months, and give it everything that you've got, and see what comes out of it. So and I've talked about I've gone through that page. I didn't use my notes. Okay. The other thing that is a real opportunity in the industry today is around supporting not-for-profits and charities with their fundraising. And it gives us the opportunity of being able, pardon me, to meet a lot of people. And way back in the day, someone used to say, go where someone has already gathered the people, like look at where events are already being held. So, you'll find that, there are events for charities, for, like I said, for not-for-profits, and look at ones that align with your heart. Okay. So there'll be ones where, you align because of a particular condition that you have, or a particular condition that someone in your family has, and align with, whichever charity that you want, and give it your best, and go the extra mile for them. And in my own case, what I've done, for the last 12 years, the cosmetic industry for me has been, my whole working life, basically. And so for me, for the last 12 years, I have supported the Think Pink organisation, which is a centre facility that supports women who are undergoing breast cancer treatment. I have had a lot of friends, a lot of family who have been through that journey. And so being able to give I do it with my time every month. I do it with product, and it makes, I feel in my heart that that's something that I want to do. So find whatever it is for you where you can contribute, and be, willing to support them with whatever activity it is. And, whatever you give out, remember, you'll always, not that you do it with any expectation at all, but, what goes around comes around. And so just give where you can, whether it be financially or emotionally, to organizations that align with you. And in any of those events, what I find that, I working on is to make sure that any samples that we give out is work it so that you can collect the details of the people that you're giving the samples out to, so that you have a way of being able to follow up. Because otherwise we're giving out samples and and know that you're just giving them away and there's nothing coming back from it. Whereas when you're creating, whether it be a Google form, or whether it be with a QR code, or whatever it is that you do with your teams, with your uplines, you'll find that if you're able to collect the information, the details of the people that are receiving these sachets, that then you're able to then follow up. Because it's when people get to use our products that they love the products. And when they love the products, they want the products, and they want them the best possible way. And the best possible way for a person to get a product, for the best way for them to be able to get their product, for most people, is to buy it directly themselves. So offering the opportunity to everybody. And I've got this philosophy, is that you offer everything to everyone, let them choose. Don't ever judge. Don't ever judge that, whether you think someone's going to be good Oh, will I sponsor her? Will I sponsor her? No, oh, no, I don't know that she'd be that good because blah, blah. If you could only, like, there are some people that are, you know, in the business with me today. I won't mention anyone in particular, but there is one person in Victoria that when she came, I can remember as clear as anything, her coming to her first meeting, and she's in moccasins. She's in, you know, like she is dressed really barbecue style, like what I would have called back then barbecue style. Well, that person now is one of the most sophisticated, well-groomed individuals in our business. But back then, you know, it was like, wow, you know, you would have thought, oh no, she's not going to be, because she doesn't present that well, you know, being judgmental. So please don't do what many of us did in the beginning, where it's like, will she be good? Will she be good? No, let everyone offer everything to everyone and let them choose. So these days, when I do a facial treatment, if there's just one person here, I'll go through, do the facial treatment, and then I let them know that there's 3 different ways that they can access the product. They can either buy it from me directly, or they can have a demonstration, get a couple of people together, and I'll give them, you know, $100 worth, look, whatever I'm offering, $100 worth of products, depending on how many they get and blah, blah. Or you can have your own account and be able to access your product and have that reordering facility. It's great, right? And so what would you prefer? Which way would you prefer? And I let them choose. I don't try and convince them anyway, but I've offered them the 3 different ways. Okay. Something that I do get asked these days is, how come Nutrimetics is still around, given that Mary Kay is no longer in Australia? Body Shop Home has, you know, I think it's already gone from Australia as well. Avon has gone from Australia. How come Nutrimetics is still around? Well, all I can say is thank goodness, thank goodness that the company had gone direct to consumer delivery way before any other company had in the same industry. So the company, whilst our old website was like it really was falling to bits, for those of you that don't realize, it was falling to bits, wasn't it, Louise? Like it was just, you know, it was, we had it way before.
I loved the old falling to bits system, darling.
I know you did, but can I tell you, it was falling to bits. But what happened was, I'm so glad though that we had it, because we had that website way before any of our competitors had them. So there are some things that the company did. They had foresight in certain things that really, we embraced technology, we embraced various aspects of the industry way before as some of our colleagues did. So I'm very, very grateful, not just, well, to the company, but to the management, to the staff, to the regional managers, the people that communicate with, you know, Louise and I and all the senior managers. You'll find that, you know, the headquarters staff are absolutely phenomenal. But something that I learned very early also in the piece was, any time that I had an issue, was to never go crossways, to always go upwards when I had an issue, a problem, a challenge. Now that meant not talking to my colleague managers, right? Like, and it was, you know, and that was hard going sometimes. I've got to tell you, that's exactly what I did. I virtually did not mention stuff that I was challenged by to my colleagues. I really did go to my uplanes, and I feel that it has always held me in good stead. I feel that it was something that I'm glad that I stuck to that, and that I have continued to do that. Is, you know, when now, not that there's very many things that I need to discuss, but every now and again there'll be something that I'll go, you know what, I need to talk to someone, okay, about that. And it's something that I'm glad that I did that. The thing that has never, ever, 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 ever altered in the business is the core model of our business. So the 5 things that grew my multi-million-dollar business from way back then is exactly the same thing that is important and at the core of our business today. And you know, we have gone through over the years with various training modules, and these are the 5 things still. It is the bookings, whatever you want to call them, parties, workshops, masterclasses, whatever it is that you want to call them. It's just a matter of altering the theme, alter the variety of them, make them relevant for the time or for the season, so that, you know, you're showing people something fresh. It's like fashion. I mean, you know, clothing never goes out of fashion. It's just the style that goes out, or the colors that come in and out. But fashion will always be part of our wardrobe. Is, you know, is like, you know, we love wearing different things, and so something else comes out and you go, oh, that color makes me feel. So when we have a different type of workshop to do, oh, that sounds interesting, that sounds fun, that sounds exciting. So when it's fun and exciting and different, and oh, that's on trend, like making sure that what we're offering is on trend. So those of you that are doing tweens and queens, good on you, right? Like that's really, you know, being on trend, using terminology that's on trend. Louise, how am I going for time? I've kind of been raving on here. Okay. Okay. So the next thing. Okay. So I'm
running close to the close.
Okay. Yeah. Hostess coaching is the next big topic. So how we build a relationship with the people who we book our appointments with is what that means. Like, what kind of expectation do we set? What kind of courtesy do we, you know, express with the people? Do we thank them? How do we do that? Do we do everything online? Do we pick up the phone? And you will modify that based on your clientele and how you operate. But the thank yous never go out of fashion. The expectations, knowing, you know, what's in it for them, never go. Making sure that, you know, that we also, I've already mentioned, offer the opportunity to everyone, the opportunity for the product and for the opportunity itself. So bookings, the variety and theme and relevance, the hostess coaching, the expectations, the sponsoring for the product and for the opportunity, the actual party format, when you go into resources on N Central and you go into the business tools that are there, I mean, these tools are actually sitting there. So you've got the theme, the party format, and regardless of whether you're talking to one person or 10 people or 100 people, you still do it in exactly that same format. That formula works no matter how many people that you're speaking to. And the kit delivery was the last of those 5 topics. And so, you know, at the kit delivery now, you know, there is no kit now, but, you know, there is that time when you're having a one-to-one with the person that you've opened an account for, to build the relationship, for them to get to know you, get to know them, see where there's a fit, see how how what we have to offer could be a fit for them, by way of, you know, filling the gap with their income. Yeah. So using the tools, working smarter, not harder. Working smart is not about working hard. I know a lot of people who work very hard who do donuts. They do wheelies because they've got their foot on the accelerator and on the brake at the same time. And all that does is create wheelies. Growing up on a farm, I know exactly how to do a wheelie. And so that's how you do it, by having goals, but then turning around and not believing in yourself and not believing in the company and not believing in the product. Like, that's doing a wheelie, just as a little example. There's a number of things that I wrote here that grew me. Things that grew me was having big goals, having a growth mindset, hanging with other people with growth mindsets, letting go of negative thoughts. I have negative thoughts too, don't get me wrong, but I learned to let go of them pretty quickly. Reinventing myself, going back to the basics, embracing technology. When things aren't flowing, there are 3 questions that I ask myself these days. What have I been thinking? What have I been eating? And who have I been hanging around? Like, when things are not going the way I want them to go around, Like, they're the three things I've learnt to ask myself these days. Going the extra mile with everything, creating my not negotiables list, and know what my dirty nappy list is. Now, I'll just explain what the dirty nappy is. The dirty nappy is, for those of you that have had children, you know exactly what a dirty nappy is. Dirty nappy comes along, you have to change the dirty nappy. So what are the dirty nappies in Nutrimedics? Follow-up phone calls, servicing people, doing the mail outs, like whatever it is that you don't like doing. Like, there are not many people that can say they really liked changing dirty nappies. I think that, there are plenty of people who did, because they were very grateful they had children and very grateful they had a child that actually pooed the nappies. So they were happy to change the nappy. But generally, I think that it's like, oh, the dirty nappy. So the dirty nappies are the things in Nutrimedics that you don't like doing that you need to do in order to grow your business. So be aware what they are, and yet set yourself up to actually do them regardless of whether you feel like it or not. I've got a list of other things. Just, a couple of people in the industry, Sandy McDonald, many of you know, she always used to say that when we sell product, we get immediate income. When we book parties, we get delayed income. When we sponsor, we have perpetual income. You will always have an income if you are growing a team. Many other things here that I could say, but I will finish up with that, Louise. If anyone's got any questions, I'd be happy to take any questions. Yeah, and you can change me to gallery view, Louise. Yeah.
Change you to gallery view.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, hi.
Doesn't mean that I know how to do that, darling, but I do know
one
question.
Everyone knows how to do it for themselves, actually. Yeah.
Okay, good. So Anya Williams, who is one of my gorgeous ESMs in Orange, has asked, how many sponsoring appointments do you aim for, say a week, a month, Lucia?
Oh, okay. So the aim is to have at least 3 a week, right?
Yeah.
So that's the aim, right? Shoot for the moon. And if you miss, you're still in orbit. But if you don't shoot for anything, you're going to fall flat in the ground. So it's about having, shoot for the moon with your goals. I love what Julie Harding.
Where do you normally find them? Is it through your facials or through your mixing with other people at Rotary or down the street?
Everywhere.
Where do you find them, darling?
Everywhere. So recently I did a Valentine's Day gift basket in a local restaurant, and I got 50 leads from there, of which 23 booked. And so some of the sponsoring I did last month was from that. Some of the orders I got were from that. And some of them had to be moved. I'm actually this weekend doing some facial treatments that I got from that. So, it can be from my online orders. Anyone that I haven't met personally, I offer for them to have their own account as well, for them to do their own ordering. Yeah.
I just love that. So with your Valentine's Day basket, did you mainly phone them or text them to get the booking?
I actually text them initially. So I text them. I text them.
Do you think you could pop that text on Creating a Bright Future, and then all the managers can share it? Or if
I can do it. Yeah. Don't ask me to do it now. I won't do it right now. I'll do it after the event. Okay.
That is amazing. And then once they say yes, do you ring them up, or you just text them and do it today and pop them in your diary?
With this lot, it's been totally on text messages.
Yeah,
because they filled out a coupon. They also filled out in the coupon. I made sure that because legally we do need to ask them if they want to be followed up or not. And so I gave them the opportunity to opt out of being contacted. So there were some that I wouldn't contact.
Yes.
Some of them I've added as leads into the lead center of N Central. So just all sorts of different, but there's 23 people I didn't know before I ran that event. you know.
Exactly. So could you pop your coupon on creating a bright future as well for us? That would be amazing.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
You're a sweetheart.
Absolutely. I love people asking what is sponsoring. Sponsoring is what we call, you know, like today it's called recruiting, joining people up, recruiting. So the terminology, the old terminology as opposed to today's terminology. Yeah.
I just always call it offering a person the opportunity to become a VIP, just like I became 43 years ago.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's amazing. And for those facials, do you mainly go to them or do they come to you?
Oh, they come to me, actually. I've set up, you know, given that I've done thousands, girls, thousands of nutritionix parties and facials.
You've served your apprenticeship.
I've done my apprenticeship, girls. I've done literally thousands of parties over the years, right? So I'm now 68 years of age. I now have my an office and a beauty room next to me here, and I set it up in there, and they come to me. When I have got a couple of people, I take it out to the lounge room where I put the piano quiet music on the big TV screen, and I put them in the recliner chairs, and we do their treatments in the recliner chairs. And I have my towel warmer out there, and I just wheel out all my products in a wheelie thing that I've got out there, and it's all set up out there. Yeah.
Oh, I love those ideas. That's excellent. We always use the recliners at our place as well, but we never need to heat anything on the Sunshine Coast, I might say.
I bought the towel warmers.
Get them chilled.
Yeah, the towel warmers are fantastic. I love them. Yeah. Well, this is Melbourne, Louise, right?
Yes, that's right. We're the opposite end of the country. Oh, Lucia, I have just loved every single thing you have said. And what comes through to me, and I'd love to just put it out to everyone, what are some great leadership skills that you can all develop? And you just have to listen and watch Lucia to know what they are. They're her passion, it's her energy, as she's created her look, as she's created her format of what she does. She goes to other places that fill her cup, whether that's Rotary or the Think Pink or in the early days going to swap Salesman with Purpose. I did go to a couple of those, but I don't know. There were too many men there for me, Lucia.
Well, actually, these days I belong to 3 different networking groups that are mostly online, but every now and again we meet up face to face. So, and that's another source of meeting people and learning, from each other. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And Lucia, she started from the very beginning, said yearning and just loving Nutrimedics. So you've got to have that fire in your belly, girls. And do you hear that fire in the belly for Lucia? And how do you get that 49 years going? Okay, you get it by self-discipline and then just doing the good habits as often as possible. I believe that, I know Lucia, I believe she's very self-disciplined. I'm sure she goes off track sometimes, but what I get from Lucia is that she is self-disciplined. What I get from Lucia is that she finds this business fun. She finds it fun. I see her having fun. I saw her having fun in Bali. I see her having fun everywhere we go. And the things that aren't fun, if she knows that they're the way to run this business, then she does them anyway. And I've never heard them described as dirty nappies, but that's going into my repertoire from now on. So you change the damn dirty nappies. And if that is your mail out for you, or your hostess coaching, or looking after your customers, or phoning 5 people a week that you haven't phoned from your VIP list or your customer mail out, I do know, Lucia, that you take very good care of your customers, and that many of your personal sales come from your customer base. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
Yeah. And I also track where the business comes from.
Yeah. You still have that goal.
Yeah.
A lot
Absolutely.
of what you earn can come from your personal sales, which allows you to pay the bills, etc. Or for me, I was actually taught that my personal sales can be my spending money, which always motivated me to do high personal sales. And the money I earned from my team was to pay the bills, save, invest in properties, do all of those sort of things. So Lucia lives
That's great. I love that too.
Wonderful, wonderful lifestyle. So if you are looking for that lifestyle, then take away what Lucia has taught to you tonight. Lucia, I've enjoyed every minute of you. Thank you so much for giving yourself your time, your wisdom, your experience, your vitality, your love, your passion and your love just are so invaluable to your success in this business. And I would love to promote, who I can see on my gallery view at the moment, our May Creating a Bright Future speaker. And that is the beautiful Mrs. Mimi Cardamone. So we're hearing from the Italians, I think, 2 months in a row, and we can't do better than that. I'm challenging you to have the best April you have ever had. I'm challenging you to beat whatever you did for in March. $1 more, one sponsor more, one new customer more, whatever it is that you want to do. And I encourage you to put out, and I did this for one of Adam's new managers, and she went and did it straight away. I encourage you to put out 3, 4, or 5 Mother's Day baskets, because some will be successful and others won't. And I challenge you that you can do most of that booking on a text message. So that is not hard work. You don't have to have a glass of wine to pick up the phone. The phone does not have to be heavy. You just pick it up and send the text messages and get your diary full. And you can start rewarding some of those people with a beautiful runner-up prize. I always offer 25 runner-up prizes or 50 runner-up prizes are free. Beautiful, beautiful facials. Make it a vitamin C, a high-performance platinum, a microdermabrasion. Do you know where I live down the road? It's $79 for a 30-minute mini microdermabrasion facial, and that 30 minutes includes the time you walk up to the counter, then you go into the beauty room, then they put a draper towel around you, put the headband on. So you get about, I've decided you get about 15 to 16 minutes of a treatment if you're lucky, because it also includes the time you walk out. So don't underestimate what we have to offer, ladies, and don't underestimate how incredible our products, our company, and our relationship that we build with people is, because when they go in the chemist and they go into Maya or they go into David Jones, are they going to get the same person looking after them for the next 10 years? No, they're not. But you join with Lucia, myself, Mimi, Wendy, Leanne, Sue, Debbie, all the people I can see online that have been building relationships and looking after their people for 10 years and 20 years and 30 years. That's what we have to offer that no one else can offer. So have the best April, get those baskets out, get new leads. And the best leads that I have are the warm leads, and they're the people that I know and love. They're the people who have already joined with me, and we have a big thing going in our group to go and offer free facials to all of our VIPs. Because they're lovely warm leads and they already have a relationship with us, and they can either keep the sales of what they want, or if they can't be bothered to order it, they can give it to us and they can bring a friend, and that friend can be sponsored under them. And if you did that, you will double your business in no time. Have the great night. Thanks for joining me. So appreciate it. This would not be fun without all of you. Thanks, everyone. Thanks again, Lucia. Bye.
Thanks, Louise. Bye, everybody. Bye.